Alright, what's up guys? Today I'm making a video, and it's not going to be a teaching one like we were planning. I'm going to do that soon, but I still don't have the new handbrake working on the Thrustmaster setup. I honestly think I'm configuring something wrong, or doing something wrong with how I'm plugging it in, but so far, this wheel is incredible. This is a Thrustmaster TX with their TH8A shifter, and then the Sparco handbrake, and their T3PA pedals, I think they call them. But everything straight out of the box feels really good. With my Fanatic setup, I had to do a lot of configuring and things to make sure that it worked well and just like felt like I wanted, it counter-steered like I wanted. But this thing it almost, I mean, it's incredible. Aaron and a few other people have played it and, played mine back to back, and they just absolutely love this one immensely better. And it's significantly cheaper, so a full Fanatic setup's like almost $2,000, plus the Obuto Ozone cockpit I have is like another $800, and then I'm not exactly sure what this full rig setup is, but I think it's something like half that. So yeah, today we're going to be doing some tandem, and I'm going to be driving with no e-brake, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of mistakes and things, but basically I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do that and why the e-brake's really important in some scenarios. You can tell automatically though that this thing self-steers a lot easier than my wheel. I'm just having to like let it go through my hands just a little bit. So bear with me here, we get out the track. It's kind of a weird track to get out. The wheel's also quite a bit smaller than the wheel I have on my Fanatic, which is the regular 350 millimeter car wheel. So this one's probably closer to like a 320. I don't think it's a 300, but it may be. But one thing to keep in mind when we're talking about driving with no handbrake here, handbrake is a very useful tool, and it's very important in tandem when you're trying to get right up on someone's door without hitting them. So essentially, we're going to have a few issues here. Handbrake is a slowing down technique as well. That's something to remember. You're using it to add angle and slow down at the same time. So if you're right on somebody's door and you need to add angle and slow down, you don't really have a lot of options. You have to clutch kick and then brake stab like immediately, so you don't just run them over, because you can clutch kick right into their door on accident. As you can see, this thing self-steers really nice. I'm just on throttle and just working it a little bit, catching it where I need to. So now we're just going to try to get on somebody's door with left foot brake and stay on the throttle so that we're keeping the rear wheel speed up high enough. But once we get really close, right here, or anywhere that's shallow angle, you pretty much have to use the foot brake to slow you down and increase the angle. See, like right there, I hung myself because I didn't have the handbrake. Try it again. See, it's straightened out there. Quite difficult. I'm using left foot brake to hold me back, and then just staying full throttle to keep the wheel speed up so that I don't straighten out. And I punted in there. Whoops. And I got punted. Sorry, guys. No, this isn't my usual. Maybe I can lead a little bit better with no handbrake, just because I can run the line I want and not be constricted by the car in front of me. So this track's really fun. It's called Grondel for some reason on the file name, but it's actually called Green Valley when you select it. Everyone behind me is probably like, what the hell is he doing? See, like right there, it's a constant balance of trying to stay on the throttle so that you have your wheel speed up and you don't straighten. But you also need to slow down and add angle. You just can't really do that without the handbrake. You have to throw the car a lot more and keep it at larger angles, because when you go to a low angle, it might grip up on you randomly, and then you have no saving grace if you're in a slow down scenario. If you're speeding up and you can just clutch kick to get out of it, then that's great, when you start straightening, but you can't always do that. Sometimes you need to back off the throttle and you can't just drive off track, so... Whoa, missed a gear. Let this guy get behind me. More wheel speed, big flick, and then I'm already on the brakes trying to get it to stay at angle. Oh, that was a disaster. Sorry, Connie. Oh, come on. I hate that car for stalling. Connie, if you're watching this, which you probably will at some point, I'm not driving with a handbrake. I'm sorry. Because it doesn't work. It's not plugged in, so of course it doesn't work. So basically you want to just throw the car and use the clutch a lot more on transition to make sure that you're keeping your wheel speed up and that the car doesn't straighten. So like right here, I just throw a bunch of clutch kicks in there just to make sure. And then I also have to steer back into the drift, steer to the left right there to make sure that the car is staying at angle and it's not just going to grip up on me. Also getting used to these brakes a little bit because they are potentiometer based, which means they're based on travel, and my pedals are a load cell, which is pressure. So it's a little bit easier to gauge. Your body's actually really good at understanding pressure and muscle tension for repeating it. So it's a little bit easier to gauge than a travel situation for being consistent. But this wheel in general is way easier to drive than mine. If I just had the handbrake, that'd be a dream. Which I will have soon, and then we'll do a bunch of videos on why you clutch kick, why you handbrake, and break down each individual technique separately. And then you can kind of better understand how to put them all together. A lot of you guys already know how to tandem and are proficient at it, and this really isn't necessarily teaching you a ton, but there's a bunch of people out there that are beginners or they haven't gotten into drifting yet, and they don't really understand everything that's going on. They just know that it's awesome. So I'll be doing those videos here pretty soon. Sorry, this one's not fire tandem or anything, but with no handbrake on this track, it's pretty difficult. Let's see if I can get up this guy's more. The other problem is if you get hung up behind someone, you're braking really hard, you can basically drive through the front tires and straighten out, like right there. I'm having to push the brakes really hard so that I don't hit him, and I can't just handbrake to slow me down and stay at angle. I'm having to basically angrily throttle to keep the wheel speed up. Whoops, this gear. See, you end up hanging yourself if you try to get too close. Just no way out of it. Especially when you have a lot of grip. Like if I loosened up the setup in this car and added a whole bunch of air pressure, it'd be much easier to stay behind people and to accomplish this with no handbrake, because then the car floats more off throttle. And right now I just have a lot of grip in this thing. It's probably one of the hardest ways to drive with no handbrake. It's a very gripped up setup. That guy's also pretty dang slow, so it's making it a lot more difficult for me. See if we can follow another couple people, and then we'll call this a wrap for the no handbrake video. Here we go. Perfect, Connie. I think my lighting situation's also kind of getting worse. Need to work on the lighting in this room for future videos. Right now I'm just using outdoor light through the windows. I think it's overexposing the TV a bit on the steering cam. So right here, I'm trying to get up there. Connie's a really good driver, so I'm basically full throttle. I don't really have to brake very much, which makes it a lot easier on me to stay in drift. If I'm following someone slow, I have to choke up a bunch, and then, like I said, I have to do some type of technique that slows me down and simultaneously adds angle. And essentially, that's pretty much always the handbrake, or you can do like a really aggressive manji and then get on the brakes like that, but that's very difficult to pull off consistently. As you can tell by this video, when I keep screwing it up. There we go. Basically just have to throw the car extra hard, and then that'll ensure you're at enough angle and you don't straighten out. Get transition timing, grab another gear for more wheel speed so I can stay up with him. Otherwise I'd just be bouncing off the limiter and would straighten out. You always have to have a certain amount of wheel speed beyond your road speed, or you'll always straighten out. So if you're already at the top of third gear entering, don't expect to have any extra wheel speed to do cool stuff. unless the corner slows down significantly immediately. You're off throttle for a while and don't need the wheel speed. Yeah, this is much better than following someone slower. Thank you, Connie. Whoop, going wide. Felt the rears getting the grass there. A little bit. That's probably the trickiest part on track. On this track, to not have handbrake, because it's a very low, it's high speed but low angle. It's actually hard to, it's hard to extend to it even with the handbrake. So when you don't have one, I mean, it's really just quite difficult. Another gear for wheel speed, another big clutch kick to get in there. Yeah, now we're having a good time. Sure, the lighting is horrible now, though. You guys probably can't even see my feet. Do another few laps. Oh, see what I mean about this? And then we get hung up behind somebody else slow, and the mistakes just compound down the line, down the train. All right, one more lap. Oh, come back, honey. Don't know where you are. There we go. Much better. Boop. Just wanted to give you a little boop. Sometimes, you saw me go down to second gear right there. Sometimes you want to have forward wheel speed and forward traction. Basically, you want to be on throttle and get the tires spinning in the forward direction to pull you inwards from the edge of the track. And sometimes you need like a really instant response, and a lower gear will provide that versus like having to wait for a turbo to spool and have the tires rocket to 100 miles an hour in third or fourth gear. You just immediately go down to second. Requires more shifting though, so in real life that's actually quite difficult. Especially if you're bad at shifting like me. I said one more lap like 2 or 3 laps ago, but... Alright, we'll call it there. That's it for no handbrake tandem. Hope you guys learned something about the uses of handbrake at least, and why it's so difficult to tandem without it. And thanks for watching. See you next time.